Welcome to the Wijnlanden region of Cape Town, a place where scenic beauty meets tranquility. Nestled in this tranquil environment is Wijnlanden's Radiology, a well-established multi-site radiology practice known for its state-of-the-art imaging equipment and a team of radiologists dedicated to providing comprehensive and compassionate patient care. At the new Sanbury Hospital, located in a region of excellent growth and opportunity, you will step into a state-of-the-art radiology unit, where cutting-edge technology and compassionate care meet. Every corner of our new practice will breathe innovation, from the welcoming reception area to the tranquil imaging suites. Experienced radiologists and medical staff form the backbone of Wijnlanden's Radiology. Our dedication to patient care, continuous learning, and staying on top of the latest advancements in radiology ensure that your patients are served timelessly and effectively. The unit will boast state-of-the-art imaging equipment, including the latest MRI, computed tomography, ultrasound, and X-ray machines. Digital mammography, including digital tomosynthesis and bone density scanning, will also be offered. Each piece of equipment contributes to providing a precise and efficient diagnostic service. Our investment in advanced technologies enables quicker treatment decisions and better patient outcomes, thereby supporting the growth of your practice. Our 16 experienced radiologists possess a diverse range of interests, each contributing their unique skill set to serve your patients optimally. From musculoskeletal imaging to neuroradiology, and from breast imaging to oncology imaging, our radiologists are dedicated to continual learning and advancement within their chosen subspecialties. This translates to more accurate diagnoses and insights. The entire team of radiologists will contribute to reporting radiology cases at Sanbury Hospital through our integrated teleradiology network, thus allowing the on-site radiologist to prioritize hands-on cases. This workflow guarantees the availability of the necessary reporting expertise tailored to your specialty referrals, while also ensuring an efficient patient flow through the unit. Referring clinicians have easy access to images and reports on their PCs, laptops, and smartphones. Collaboration is at the core of our practice. We work closely with referring clinicians, ensuring a seamless flow of communication and a multidisciplinary approach to patient care. At Wijnlanden's Radiology, we are deeply committed to excellence, actively seeking feedback from clinicians and patients to continually enhance our services. Our team is dedicated to providing optimal care, utilizing your valuable input to improve every aspect of our practice, from diagnostic precision to patient comfort. We believe in the power of open communication to drive innovation and ensure a superior patient experience at every visit. Your satisfaction is our top priority, and at Wijnlanden's Radiology we listen, we adapt, and we excel, all to better serve you. Expertise, innovation, compassion, and convenience are the core values of Wijnlanden's Radiology. We stand prepared and eager to collaborate with the clinicians of Sanbury Hospital, offering unwavering support to your clinical practice through our provision of an optimal imaging service. Our doors are wide open, extending a warm welcome to you at Sanbury Hospital. We are committed to enhancing your practice and ensuring the best possible care for your patients. Welcome to a partnership where excellence in imaging meets unparalleled support for healthcare professionals. Welcome to Sanbury Hospital. Welcome to Wijnlanden's Radiology. Welcome to the Wijnlanden region of Cape Town, a place where scenic beauty meets tranquility. Nestled in this tranquil environment is Wijnlanden's Radiology, a well-established multi-site radiology practice known for its state-of-the-art imaging equipment and a team of radiologists dedicated to providing comprehensive and compassionate patient care. At the new Sanbury Hospital, located in a region of excellent growth and opportunity, you will step into a state-of-the-art radiology unit, where cutting-edge technology and compassionate care meet. Every corner of our new practice will breathe innovation, from the welcoming reception area to the tranquil imaging suites. Experienced radiologists and medical staff form the backbone of Wijnlanden's Radiology. Our dedication to patient care, continuous learning, and staying on top of the latest advancements in radiology ensure that your patients are served timeously and effectively. The unit will boast state-of-the-art imaging equipment, including the latest MRI, computed tomography, ultrasound, and X-ray machines. Digital mammography, including digital tomosynthesis and bone density scanning, will also be offered. Each piece of equipment contributes to providing a precise and efficient diagnostic service. Our investment in advanced technologies enables quicker treatment decisions and better patient outcomes, thereby supporting the growth of your practice. Our 16 experienced radiologists possess a diverse range of interests, each contributing their unique skill set to serve your patients optimally. From musculoskeletal imaging to neuroradiology, and from breast imaging to oncology imaging, our radiologists are dedicated to continual learning and advancement within their chosen subspecialties. This translates to more accurate diagnoses and insights. The entire team of radiologists will contribute to reporting radiology cases at Sanbury Hospital through our integrated teleradiology network, thus allowing the on-site radiologist to prioritize hands-on cases. This workflow guarantees the availability of the necessary reporting expertise tailored to your specialty referrals, while also ensuring an efficient patient flow through the unit. Referring clinicians have easy access to images and reports on their PCs, laptops, and smartphones. Collaboration is at the core of our practice. We work closely with referring clinicians, ensuring a seamless flow of communication and a multidisciplinary approach to patient care. At Wijnlanden's Radiology, we are deeply committed to excellence, actively seeking feedback from clinicians and patients to continually enhance our services. Our team is dedicated to providing optimal care, utilizing your valuable input to improve every aspect of our practice, from diagnostic precision to patient comfort. We believe in the power of open communication to drive innovation and ensure a superior patient experience at every visit. Your satisfaction is our top priority, and at Wijnlanden's Radiology we listen, we adapt, and we excel, all to better serve you. Expertise, innovation, compassion, and convenience are the core values of Wijnlanden's Radiology. We stand prepared and eager to collaborate with the clinicians of Sanbury Hospital, offering unwavering support to your clinical practice through our provision of an optimal imaging service. Our doors are wide open, extending a warm welcome to you at Sanbury Hospital. We are committed to enhancing your practice and ensuring the best possible care for your patients. Welcome to a partnership where excellence in imaging meets unparalleled support for healthcare professionals. Welcome to Sanbury Hospital. Welcome to Wijnlanden's Radiology. Welcome to the Wijnlanden region of Cape Town, a place where scenic beauty meets tranquility. Nestled in this tranquil environment is Wijnlanden's Radiology, a well-established multi-site radiology practice known for its state-of-the-art imaging equipment and a team of radiologists dedicated to providing comprehensive and compassionate patient care. At the new Sanbury Hospital, located in a region of excellent growth and opportunity, you will step into a state-of-the-art radiology unit, where cutting-edge technology and compassionate care meet. Every corner of our new practice will breathe innovation, from the welcoming reception area to the tranquil imaging suites. Experienced radiologists and medical staff form the backbone of Wijnlanden's Radiology. Our dedication to patient care, continuous learning, and staying on top of the latest advancements in radiology ensure that your patients are served timeously and effectively. The unit will boast state-of-the-art imaging equipment, including the latest MRI, computed tomography, ultrasound, and X-ray machines. Digital mammography, including digital tomosynthesis and bone density scanning, will also be offered. Each piece of equipment contributes to providing a precise and efficient diagnostic service. Our investment in advanced technologies enables quicker treatment decisions and better patient outcomes, thereby supporting the growth of your practice. Our 16 experienced radiologists possess a diverse range of interests, each contributing their unique skill set to serve your patients optimally. From musculoskeletal imaging to neuroradiology, and from breast imaging to oncology imaging, our radiologists are dedicated to continual learning and advancement within their chosen subspecialties. This translates to more accurate diagnoses and insights. The entire team of radiologists will contribute to reporting radiology cases at Sanbury Hospital through our integrated teleradiology network, thus allowing the on-site radiologist to prioritize hands-on cases. This workflow guarantees the availability of the necessary reporting expertise tailored to your specialty referrals, while also ensuring an efficient patient flow through the unit. Referring clinicians have easy access to images and reports on their PCs, laptops, and smartphones. Collaboration is at the core of our practice. We work closely with referring clinicians, ensuring a seamless flow of communication and a multidisciplinary approach to patient care. At Wijnlanden's Radiology, we are deeply committed to excellence, actively seeking feedback from clinicians and patients to continually enhance our services. Our team is dedicated to providing optimal care, utilizing your valuable input to improve every aspect of our practice, from diagnostic precision to patient comfort. We believe in the power of open communication to drive innovation and ensure a superior patient experience at every visit. Your satisfaction is our top priority, and at Wijnlanden's Radiology we listen, we adapt, and we excel, all to better serve you. Expertise, innovation, compassion, and convenience are the core values of Wijnlanden's Radiology. We stand prepared and eager to collaborate with the clinicians of Sanbury Hospital, offering unwavering support to your clinical practice through our provision of an optimal imaging service. Our doors are wide open, extending a warm welcome to you at Sanbury Hospital. We are committed to enhancing your practice and ensuring the best possible care for your patients. Welcome to a partnership where excellence in imaging meets unparalleled support for healthcare professionals. Welcome to Sanbury Hospital. Welcome to Wijnlanden's Radiology. Welcome to the Wijnlanden region of Cape Town, a place where scenic beauty meets tranquility. Nestled in this tranquil environment is Wijnlanden's Radiology, a well-established multi-site radiology practice known for its state-of-the-art imaging equipment and a team of radiologists dedicated to providing comprehensive and compassionate patient care. At the new Sanbury Hospital, located in a region of excellent growth and opportunity, you will step into a state-of-the-art radiology unit, where cutting-edge technology and compassionate care meet. Every corner of our new practice will breathe innovation, from the welcoming reception area to the tranquil imaging suites. Experienced radiologists and medical staff form the backbone of Wijnlanden's Radiology. Our dedication to patient care, continuous learning, and staying on top of the latest advancements in radiology ensure that your patients are served timeously and effectively. The unit will boast state-of-the-art imaging equipment, including the latest MRI, computed tomography, ultrasound, and X-ray machines. Digital mammography, including digital tomosynthesis and bone density scanning, will also be offered. Each piece of equipment contributes to providing a precise and efficient diagnostic service. Our investment in advanced technologies enables quicker treatment decisions and better patient outcomes, thereby supporting the growth of your practice. Our 16 experienced radiologists possess a diverse range of interests, each contributing their unique skill set to serve your patients optimally. From musculoskeletal imaging to neuroradiology, and from breast imaging to oncology imaging, our radiologists are dedicated to continual learning and advancement within their chosen subspecialties. This translates to more accurate diagnoses and insights. The entire team of radiologists will contribute to reporting radiology cases at Sanbury Hospital through our integrated teleradiology network, thus allowing the on-site radiologist to prioritize hands-on cases. This workflow guarantees the availability of the necessary reporting expertise tailored to your specialty referrals, while also ensuring an efficient patient flow through the unit. Referring clinicians have easy access to images and reports on their PCs, laptops, and smartphones. Collaboration is at the core of our practice. We work closely with referring clinicians, ensuring a seamless flow of communication and a multidisciplinary approach to patient care. At Wijnlanden's Radiology, we are deeply committed to excellence, actively seeking feedback from clinicians and patients to continually enhance our services. Our team is dedicated to providing optimal care, utilizing your valuable input to improve every aspect of our practice, from diagnostic precision to patient comfort. We believe in the power of open communication to drive innovation and ensure a superior patient experience at every visit. Your satisfaction is our top priority, and at Wijnlanden's Radiology we listen, we adapt, and we excel, all to better serve you. Expertise, innovation, compassion, and convenience are the core values of Wijnlanden's Radiology. We stand prepared and eager to collaborate with the clinicians of Sanbury Hospital, offering unwavering support to your clinical practice through our provision of an optimal imaging service. Our doors are wide open, extending a warm welcome to you at Sanbury Hospital. We are committed to enhancing your practice and ensuring the best possible care for your patients. Welcome to a partnership where excellence in imaging meets unparalleled support for healthcare professionals. Welcome to Sanbury Hospital. Welcome to Wijnlanden's Radiology.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to our progress meeting. I think I've seen a few faces before, but I'm glad new ones to see as well. Just to give you a little bit of background about where we are with the project and where we're heading and what's going on. So I've put a few slides together. And just welcome to everyone, as I said, the attendees, the doctors, as well as co-promoters that's here, as well as new doctors and partners that's going to come on board as well, with our financial people present as well. Yes, an accountant, we will introduce everyone around eating a little bit later, who's everyone, so I think you can just read on the name tags. And then, yes, we've got the contractors as well as business partners here as well. And then the architect and project managers and all the others that's here as well. All right, yes, my history, I was born in Joburg quite some time ago. Did my schooling in Rustenburg and then went on to Stellenbosch, where I did my undergraduation. And then housemanship back in Rustenburg, as well as a general practitioner, where I spent 4 years in Vicksburg, being the district surgeon as well. So I know quite a lot about the public sector integrating with the private sector as well. Yes, and then I did a year in the UK, which I worked in an orthopedic hospital, and then eventually qualified in the Free State Bloemfontein as an orthopedic surgeon. And then the past 20 years I'm in Joburg, so come around quite a lot. So yes, and according to research, that's why we started with this project. There's about 600 beds needed in this area. And we started by... This project was actually born then and introduced to me, and it was an opportunity. And at this stage, we stand with 124 beds for this area, which means it's just a drop. It's about 1/6 only of what is really needed in this area. Yes, and then also what we've got now is auxiliary health facilities complementing this hospital. Obviously, we try to be this state-of-the-art hospital, and if it's driven by people that's motivated, you know, like my colleagues in Joburg Surgical that did a quite similar project, which is functioning quite well. I think this is the only one of its kind here in Cape Town, if we can get it really positive going. So yes, it will be a private-owned facility, but be owned by doctors as well as co-partners. Why am I in Cape Town? Why from that side? Well, my family decided to move to Cape Town 4 years ago. My wife's brother is one of the bankers, private bankers at RMB Private Bank here, and he also thought it would be a good idea. And then eventually my daughter is at high school, Somerset West, and yeah, she's selected as deputy. I go, so I'm quite proud of her. And yes, it's an ideal for me to move down here as well from Cape Town, but there's too many responsibilities at this stage and some politics involved, obviously. I was contacted eventually to get involved in the Sanbury project, which started in 2022. When I got involved, was only a 50-bed, eventually upgraded to 124-bed, with quite a few partners and doctors already involved in our project. The property was already bought a bit earlier this year and already put onto our name. So there's actually 4 doctors of us that bought the property with the hospital just across this one day by the Sanbury shopping mall. So the property is already bought, but we didn't just buy the property for the hospital itself. We bought the whole property with a co-partner, so that you can have which will Henry as well as Dion Kruger and Walter, our project manager, will give you some more info, that there will be a day hospital as well as consulting rooms with rehab center and a psychiatric unit as well on the property itself. So Joburg Surgical Hospital, for you guys that haven't seen this, really something to have a look at, and very close colleagues of mine that started that project some time ago, which is functioning quite well, which is Dion as well as it's quite involved with the hospital if you want to ask them some questions. But anyway, as I said, we're quite a few doctors already and co-partners with the project. I'd like to be in an hospital of a center of excellence, and as you said, it's close by here and on the Spee Road here, close to the N2 as well. Yes, as I said, 2022 it was a 50-bed, which 50% license was held by a few of us. 2023, it was 100% taken over by the doctors itself. But in 2024, we got a Robex building contractors part of the business that is also involved in this incorporated business, which took over 50% of the interest in building this hospital. And then obviously myself and Robex at this stage holds 100% of this project's licensing in an incorporated business, yes. And the deal is eventually to just transfer the other part eventually to the OPCO when there's enough doctors and we start building and get this project off the ground. And Robex, the contractors, just wants to build the place for us. So that's all in the contract deals that we already had. So yes, just a figure to give you an ideal, you know, your closest really hospitals is 15 kilometers and Stellenbosch is 20 kilometers from here. So there is no facility private really in this area, and a private-public partnership would be ideal to get this project going as well. There, just give you a bit of idea where we are now, and a closer view, there the Coast River Road as well as the Spier Stellenbosch road passes by, which is just upgraded now as well. Yeah, and very much closer to your vergelegen low where we are now, the wine estate, yeah. So yes, quite an exciting project. One of my friends, personal friends as well, Joshua Hubert, he can't be here this evening, would have liked to be. He's the CEO of Comcare Medical Aid. He's also a director of BHF, quite involved as well to help us getting this hospital going and our licenses that we need. Yes, I think, you know, with friends and colleagues that we've got around us that's quite involved will help us quite a lot, especially with medical aids to be preferred providers as well. So yes, it's an opportunity and definitely nothing to miss. I believe a lot of you guys will get involved, and there's a lot of guys online as well. So yes, to own your own facility and get things going is the project that we've got hold. I've been involved with 2 of these projects already, one with Netcare and another one with CareDay, which works quite well. And I can tell you I earn quite a lot of dividends. So sometimes my wife tells me I just farm and use all that money up. But yes, I think it's an excellent thing to work for yourself, get something going. And we've started another business some 2 years ago, which is also medical appliances that Afghan and another guy got going. And you'll be amazed what the kind of money these companies charge. And usually, you know, just for the record, they charge you 45,000 Rand for an implant, which you can buy at 7,000 Rand. So it's a crazy situation that's going out there. And even if you just supply the same implant for 20,000 bucks, you still make a lot of money. So these companies make a hell of a lot of money out of you, which you can really bring to your own pocket, really. So yes, I do think, you know, private-public involvement together is an excellent idea, especially in this area. And I'm going to hand the floor to Dion, which can introduce our guest speaker as well. Yeah. Thanks.
Thank you. Good evening. It's my honor and privilege to welcome and introduce Dr. Sadiq Karim. He is the Chief Operating Officer or the Chief of Operations of the Western Cape Department of Health. He's going to be speaking to us tonight about universal healthcare coverage. And I think you would have heard this term floating around in the same well, let's not go there, but in any event, you would have heard this term going around in the Western Cape in terms of the future of how the Department of Health sees the funding models and the cooperation models between private and public. So, Dr. Sadiq, I welcome you. I thank you for making the time. And please, let's hear what you have to say.
Perhaps while they do that, good evening and thank you, Dion, for the introduction. So just, probably just explain where I fit into all of this, because I mean, I realize now the audience might not know how the government structure works. So I'm the chief of what's called Chief of Operations, and for the Department of Health and Wellness for the Western Cape Province. So in our structure, what that essentially means is that all the services, everything from community-based services all the way to the big tertiary academic complexes, all of that falls under me. So the entire service platform I'm responsible for. And obviously I've got a team of people that manage different sectors. So we'd have a CEO for Tygerberg Hospital, we'd have one for Grootske Hospital, etc. And I'm part of a senior management team. But as you were talking, I realized now probably I need to just, one quick word, it's not actually part of my slides, but I must just explain quickly about the licensing process in the province. So we've had for many years a very clear, very tightly regulated process of licensing any private health establishment in the province. That's different from what you'll find in other provinces. Other provinces, I understand, it's not as tightly regulated. So we have a process, and I'm sure you obviously had gone through the process in applying for the license. And there's a committee that deliberates on it. And when the committee deliberates on it, we take into account beds per population as a ratio for each of the geographic areas. And on that basis, and on the basis of need, we then make a recommendation. That recommendation obviously goes to the minister, and the minister then signs approval for the license. So that's how the licensing process works. And obviously, any extensions to any private establishment follows a similar route. You know, there's a request, and we consider it. There's a team of people that applies its mind to it, and then makes a recommendation to it. So I thought it might just be useful to explain that. So that's who I am. But I was asked to focus on. Now I'm going to fly through the first half of the slides, because it's not really the intention of the first half of the slides is just to set the context within which, as a Department of Health, we function. So the first half of the slides is probably going to be just a little bit of a policy, understanding of the policy and contextual environment of the department. But I think it's important to set the scene for how and the journey that we are on towards universal health coverage. Now, I know, and I just said to Dion just before this, I mean, I'm trying at least to steer away from the whole NHI conversation, because that is, there are probably, I think last time I counted 6 core challenges, maybe it's 7 core challenges, 9 core challenges, right? We made, and you all know, you probably know by now what the Western Cape government's position on NHI is. So I'm trying to steer away from that, but what we have committed as a department is to implement universal health coverage. So we have made that commitment. So the first couple of slides I'm flying through is the policy context. I'm not going to go into the detail of this, and we can talk about it afterwards if you like. But when we look at universal health coverage, and when we even look at the Department of Health and Wellness strategy in the Western Cape, we locate that within a broader provincial government strategy. So obviously each government department has different priorities, and the Premier, as the leader, political leader in the province, obviously, and his cabinet, who have produced this document, the Provincial Strategic Plan. So each government department's plans that they implement ultimately must speak to this. And obviously there are different aspects of the plan. You can see in terms of our apex priority or government that people trust, job creation is one of them. It's one of the key elements of that. Safety is another key element, etc. So there are a couple of key elements in here that speak directly to universal health coverage. The government, and for those who are medical related, will understand this language. I suppose most people are medical in this relatedness. There are probably some accountants. I'm sorry for your troubles. You know, you all have our problems in life. But for those who are not accountants and who are medical, will understand what a life course is, right? So this whole plan of the whole government, in fact, follows a life course approach. So from the early years all the way to the elderly years, each stage of that life course, there are different priorities that have been set up for each of those focal areas, and I'm not going to go into it, but I mean you can see some of those priorities look, for example, at family and communities and public spaces and people who are in the working age as well are part of that in terms of, you'll see the adult years as well. We have a strategic plan as a Department of Health, and that's our cover page of our strategic plan for 5 years. It's 25 to 2030. And then annually, we have an annual plan. So these are all public documents, and it might be useful just familiarize yourselves with it, because you'll then understand what some of the challenges are that we deal with as a public sector in the Western Cape, and obviously what some of our priorities are. This is our strategy in a nutshell as a Department of Health. Like I said, I'm flying through them, right? But I think what's important in the strategy is that we have 4 key reforms. So I'm just perhaps going to, for the purpose of this audience, focus on those. And please, Chair, just tell me when give me maybe a 5-minute warning before the end if my time is up. But those 4 reforms are governance reform, a public policy reform process, our UHC reform strategy, so that's quite key to us, and our service delivery reform. And those 4 reforms are in a sense held together by a value proposition. And our value proposition is thriving together with the natural world. There's a long conversation that we can have around what that means. And so it's not just, we're not just doing health, at least we don't only talk about the health, human health. We talk about plant health, we talk about environmental health, we talk about animal health. And we've got different strategies. In fact, the strategy is not, well, it's not a Western Cape strategy, it's called One Health. It's part of a global strategy, but we have specific programs that bring all of those together. But in that value proposition, there are the 4 wells, and I will come to that in the middle. So I'm talking at the moment about the circle in the middle that's holding these 4 policy reforms together. And like I said, I'm not going to go into the detail, but each of those wells, the value propositions, for example, Start Well. So in Start Well, we've identified a couple of key priorities, and we have some key flagship projects. The ones in yellow are key flagship projects. So we know that in the Western Cape, in fact, we know in South Africa, and I must say, I take an advertorial brag a little bit, the Western Cape really does have very good data. It was because of our data-driven strategy that we had such a good, we believe, an excellent response to COVID pandemic in the Western Cape. So we really have excellent data. One of the data sources of that we've got is around stunting in children. I mean, we know, for example, that in the week before, when this study was done, was commissioned with the support of universities in the province and the DG Murray Trust, that 40% of households in that week suffer is the wrong word, but have food insecurity in that household. So stunting in children is obviously quite a key issue for us. We have developed a flagship project called Kulisa Care, where we want to address stunting in children, and we're working with private sector partners to help us achieve that. In this case, we're working with ShopRite Checkers, where essentially we give the woman, the mother, a voucher. The voucher allows her to buy certain foods and get a discount on some of those foods. And you'll notice, and why I'm focusing on it also, because part of our strategy when I come to the UHC is working very closely and collaboratively with the private sector. I won't go into all the others, but health and well-being of adolescents. Maybe I focus on health and well-being of adolescents. We just concluded a survey in the Western Cape. We surveyed 49,000 children in 123 schools to understand from these young people what their issues are. And we're working with our colleagues in education department to obviously now begin addressing those issues. It's called Planet Youth, and we're quite excited about that. Live Well. This is probably where many of us find ourselves. Perhaps some of you find yourselves in the next group, which you'll see why I say that. But in Live Well, I mean, these are some of our priority focus areas. Obviously, we're focusing on HIV, TB. It's the burden in the Western Cape for TB is actually the highest in South Africa. And then there are many theories around why that would be. Place-based support itself, of course, for us, very important. Essentially, what we're saying with that is we want to partner with anyone really, NPOs, private sector, etc., around providing care to people, not necessarily in a clinic, but where they live and work. So, for example, we have a very big partnership with the Du Toit's group of farms. And they've got many farms out in the Cape Wijnlands area, and so they provide, they pay for nursing staff for all their workers on the different farms, and the nursing staff obviously sees the patients. We as the state provide the medication for those people. So for us, there's quite an important collaborative partnership, and we want to extend that model throughout the Western Cape province with other farmers as well. So we're quite happy to provide state stock to private sector organizations who are then prepared and willing to partner with us in providing healthcare. Because ultimately, those people probably would have ended up in the state clinics in anyway. So that's why we've worked out contractual arrangements of how that would work. And then during COVID pandemic, we were, by the way, again, the only province in South Africa where we actually had contracts with private sector, the whole of the private sector. And I know it's not a homogeneous entity. So we contracted all the private hospital groups. I'm going off script, by the way. This is not here on this slide. We contracted with all the private hospital groups, all the private professional associations. So you have the Association of Orthopedic Surgeons. You'll have the Association of Ophthalmology Surgeons, etc., etc. And we contracted with individual medical schemes that if this province ran out of beds for patients during COVID, we would have a contractual arrangement with the private sector hospitals to utilize those beds, and we agreed on a fee for what that would look like. And it was the only province that did that made those contractual arrangements. I mean, we shared it with the other provinces, but as far as I know, none of the other provinces had the capacity to go down that route or willingness to go down there. Ironically, as it was, the private sector colleagues had come to us to ask, can they move private patients into public hospitals, because the private sector groupings in the province ran out of beds. And I'll come to that also again in a minute. Our Run Well strategy, this is just how we run the public health service platform. I'm going into that really. And then there's some people in this room who are hoping to age well. I've got grey hair, but I won't say how old I am. I'm hoping to age well. And there's certain priorities that we focus on as a department in this age group of people. So we've located our health strategy within that broader provincial policy context as a life course approach. And so that's the key point I wanted to raise there. So to get more down to the what we're really here to talk about, we have a commitment. And we are working with our private sector partners, and we want to co-create this UHC strategy for the Western Cape province. And we've said we've been on this journey for a few months already, and I'll just give you an idea of some of how we've done that. But before we get there, it was just universal health coverage, the promise and the urgency. For us as a province, this is very urgent. We want to implement universal health coverage across the whole of the Western Cape province. And I'm not going to go into all of the points there, but I mean, you can obviously see that the intention would be to have, it's not just a policy goal, it's actually, we believe, a moral imperative, in fact, to implement universal health coverage. I know many countries around the world are implementing universal health coverage, and we've taken lessons from those countries as well. I said I'm not going to really talk about the NHI, but I'll just put the bullet under number 2. It's there, it's been signed, it's legislated, but there are nine core challenges to the NHI. There is a national steering committee, or as a province, we participate in the steering committee. And I'll talk a little bit about some of the work of that committee. But our commitment in the Western Cape is to implement universal health coverage. That's our commitment, and our minister has made it very clear that is our priority, one of the priorities for the province. So I'm not going to go into all of the other examples, but I mean, we also do believe in innovation. Innovation for us is actually quite critical. It's what we believe should be driving a whole lot of improvements in the health sector. I'm just using lenacapavir as a recent example of HIV prevention injectable, but there are many other examples around. We know why it's important. I think you were saying as well, the collaboration between public and private is actually absolutely essential. So if you're considering and going, hopefully your private hospital will be standing one of these days, it's going to be quite crucial to be collaborating, we believe, with the public sector, because we can collectively provide healthcare to all of the people in this province. I saw your diagram about how far the other hospitals are from what would be this hospital site. So it's going to be quite important. There are many people in this area who work on the farms, of course. And so collaborating with the public sector is going to be quite crucial. And that's why I agreed with Louis that I will come tonight, despite that I had some other commitments as well. I'm not going to go into this, but our framing is around population coverage, service coverage, and cost coverage. This is a cube, as we call it, but I mean, you probably hopefully would have seen this cube or didn't understand some of the dynamic. And now the accountants are taking their books out and they're working out what does cost coverage actually mean. And don't worry, we're also looking at what does cost coverage actually mean. What I want to talk about is about the think tank. So we've established a private sector think tank. We have been working collaboratively with the private sector for many, many years in the Western Cape province. That snake timeline is just an idea of, it goes back at least 15 to 20 years, that we have this public sector, a public-private sector forum. And we have big meetings three times a year. But in addition to that, we've set up a small think tank. And the key responsibility of the think tank is to ultimately, by the end of this year, have a co-created universal health coverage strategy. We have people on the think tank who represent the private sector, the private hospital groups in the province, medical schemes, the administrators are there as well. University colleagues are there. So it's just a think tank. It's not meant to be a representative forum, but it's people who've been involved in the industry who can help us contribute to this co-created UHC strategy. I ever since my time is running out, I've got another thing, I'm only halfway. Just tell me how long I've got. So we have a statement of intent. I'm not going to bore you with the detail of that. I just wanted to focus on the health market inquiry. I'm not going to go into the detail, but we actually had a presentation. One of the members of the think tank was one of the co-authors of the health market inquiry. Now, I know this has been parked in a side, parked is probably the wrong word, but since the inquiries come out, none of the actions, recommendations have actually been implemented yet. I know the National Department, and then COVID happened, of course, but I think the National Department is again picking up some of the recommendations of the key findings and the recommendations that came out of the health market inquiry. So just to show you that we have considered the findings of the health market inquiry, we had a whole session around it with one of the authors of the health market inquiry. But it's quite clear. Just let me focus on the first part of it, of the facilities. We know that the three hospital groups dominate the market. Generally, this is the findings from the inquiry itself. High profits, limited new entrants, excess bed capacity in the private sector, a fee-for-service model that drives costs, and there's no quality metrics. So some of it is actually quite hard-hitting, and I think it's important that this becomes best part of your considerations. But there were some key recommendations, and we are looking at this in the Western Cape to see how can we, in the Western Cape, within the legislative mandate that we have, what of the health market inquiry findings can we in fact implement in the province? Let me skip that one. In Wijnlanden, we are implementing a pilot project around universal health coverage to see what does this look like. And we have the ability, and in fact we have been contracting with private providers in the province for a long time. We have a database of around 650 different sites. 300 of those, 300 people, 300 groupings, I should say, provide family planning services for us. So again, we use state stock in a private pharmacy, and those are for family planning services. We have an immunization program, etc. We've got a few public-private partnership programs. But in NICE, now what we're wanting to do here, we've working with the GPs to identify a cohort of private patients. So these private patients could afford a cost of a GP visit, but they can't necessarily afford the medication. So we want to provide the medication, but in order for us to do that, we need to provide the GPs access into our systems. Now we've got as I said, a massive database. So we need to give the GPs permission to access all our electronic information about an individual patient on a named basis. So Dion comes to me, if I'm the GP, he says, yes, I give you permission to access my records. I'm the GPS. I'm given permission to go into his records and find out all his blood tests that he's ever had in the public sector, all his x-rays, all his specialist reports that he's ever had in the public sector. Our database has over 20 million records in it. And so we can find the individual patient records on a named basis. And so we want to see how this model works because we believe it's important towards UHC. Just going to say one word about this. We want to work again with the private sector, again in Wijnlanden, because that's our pilot area, but groups of pharmacies to help incentivize diabetes management. Diabetes is quite obviously one of our chronic diseases of lifestyle. And again, it's a public-private sector collaboration. But what I want to show you is that what I've just taken a screenshot. That is a patient-facing interface, we call it. So a patient will be able to use this app and go into the app and have access to their medical information that we hold. In that, the patient will also be able to obviously or give the GP permission to access all the records, but we'll also be able to make appointments with our hospitals and obviously communicate with the health practitioner along that way. If my time's running out, Dion, then I'm going to skip this section. There is a way to measure progress towards universal health coverage. It's called the Service Coverage Index. It's a global index, so you can look it up and you can find it online. South Africa's index, the average, by the way, is about 80. South Africa is at 71. I went too fast through it now, but South Africa is at 71. Where is it now? Jammer. Okay, South Africa is at 71. It's in the detail there. But so there is a way to measure progress towards universal health coverage, and we have most of the indicators already that we've been collecting. So we'll be able to measure our progress towards implementing universal health coverage in the Western Cape. So let me skip with that and close with the last set of slides and just show you perhaps three or four slides. So obviously it's a complex model that we're implementing, right? There's a lot of data, there's a lot of information, there's a lot of systems that sit behind just implementing universal health coverage in the province. This is a strategic purchasing dashboard. So we want to be, in fact, we have geographic areas in the province, and we are listing all the public and private providers in that geographic area with population information, with health expenditure information, with staffing, with infrastructure, with equipment, etc. So when the new hospital is built, we'll have you on the list here. You'll be able to access this when we completed all of this work, and you'll be able to see who are the range of private and public practitioners and services in the area for this geographic area. So it's obviously quite an enabling tool that allows public-private collaboration to be fostered. So I think in conclusion, I mean, there's probably a lot that I can say about universal health coverage, but just for you to understand that we've made the commitment and we've begun the journey towards universal health coverage in the Western Cape province. We are co-creating that with key partners, and that co-creation is obviously within the context of our provincial and departmental key strategies as outlined, obviously, so that we don't find ourselves at odds with other departments or with where the political leadership in the province is wanting the province to go, etc. It's important to say that. I don't think it happens all over in the country. I hope it does. Perhaps it does, actually. But I think we believe it's an important part to ensure that there's a cohesive approach to developing policy, in our case, health policy. We also believe that we have many of the building blocks that will allow the Western Cape province to implement universal health coverage. I've just shown you some of them. Obviously, time won't allow me to go into all of them. But I think that there are some critical aspects that we're now going to begin applying our minds to, like what is the basic service package that we're talking about? What does that actually mean when we say universal health coverage? Would, for example, ophthalmology be part of a basic service package or not? Would access to physiotherapy, occupational therapy, or psychology or counseling be part of that basic package or not? Those are the conversations that we're obviously having. And therein we obviously are looking at what the national department is doing when they talk, in looking at the NHI implementation. We know there is a lot of work that's happened around the basic service package. And so obviously all of that becomes part of our conversation. But lastly, in closing from my side, I think it's important that when we do and co-create our universal health coverage model, that we do so together with the private sector. We have another think tank coming up in the next week or two, and then twice a year or thrice a year, depending on the minister's diary, we have a strategic meeting where we invite partners from private sector entities to meet with ourselves and the minister in the province, where we can obviously just talk with each other to see how we can co-create not only UHC, but how we can also collaborate together. Dion, thank you. I tried to keep within my time. I hope I hope I made it within time. Thank you. Thank you.
Ooh, yeah, I can see why you did that the whole time. So I've got a colleague in one of the very first businesses that I was in, and we built 2 hospitals together. And one thing that he taught me, which is, I think, universal across people, is sick people want to get better. And no matter who pays them and no matter who actually helps them get better, that innate truth remains that the people in this room are the people that actually help people that are sick get better. And I think that is the reason why most of us are in this industry, whether we're accountants or whether we're doctors. So allow me, just before I introduce Henry Verster. Henry, wat het ek nou gedoen? Duplessis. I used to be at varsity with a guy with a surname of Verster, Henry Verster. I just want to welcome one or two people and thank a few people. Firstly, Karen, thank you for all the hard work. You spent the last couple of days here. Everybody here that arrived here today said, oh, you Karen. And so thank you for that. Then Mr. Zitserutz, who's our accountant, and he's done a lot of work in helping us establish the company structures, and he's also a partner in the business. Then Maritza Dupré from our attorneys, Miller, Bosman, Leroux. The reason why I'm calling this out is I want to make sure that everybody understands that there's a lot of people behind the scenes that actually work quite hard in terms of bringing this together to allow us to get to a point where we can actually engage with the doctors around the project of going forward. Then I want to just thank Shani Morgan from Investec. The guys are our funding partners. They are a funding partner in the property transaction, and they're also here on a basis that if any of you need a nice credit card with a giraffe on it, oh, sorry, not a giraffe, then you can have a chat with her. Then there's Laura Falls from Expedient, welcome. And then I want to recognize and welcome, before I call Henry up, Mr. Anton Rousseau. Where are you? There. CEO of LifePath Health. As you've heard, Mani spoke about the fact that there will be a psychiatric hospital on the grounds. They hold the 36-bed license on the premises, and they will be part of this healthcare precinct. Anton, if you maybe want to just say hi or not, you're welcome. You want to say a word?
Maybe just check how many psychiatrists are here tonight. One that I know of. Yeah, no, I'm checking because they will hold me accountable for what I say tonight. Yeah, how many people are here tonight?
I think about
50. Yeah, so the stats say that 1 out of 5 people will suffer from a mental health illness in their lives at some point. So probably 10 of us here. And I've been, we're privileged to have a very highly respected psychiatrist here tonight, Dr. Ace. And I also have the privilege that she is treating one of my family members. Hopefully, I'm not one of the 5. I don't know. It's you can judge that. But yeah, so this license has been coming for a long time. It's lapsed. We've applied. You may know we've applied again because we couldn't find a suitable site developer and set up. Dion, I'll be quick. So our ideal scenario is that we have an acute hospital with an ER, with consulting rooms, and then the psychiatric hospital, because those things work. It's a nice integration. Psychiatrists in rooms can walk across. They can do liaison work with other medical specialists in the acute hospital. And when their rooms are on site, if a patient doesn't pitch up, they can walk across into the hospital and see an inpatient quickly. So it's a very efficient system. So yeah, the barriers to entry into our world, into our hospitals, there are a couple of them. One is the license. And Dr. Karim, I think you referred to the other province, Western Cape versus the other provinces. Our company is expanding in KZN, Gauteng, Limpopo. So I just want to say that we have a proper Department of Health in this province. And you were very kind when you spoke about the other provinces. So it's much more difficult there. So it's a privilege to be working in a regulated environment like that. Yeah, so as I said, the reason this license has been coming for a long time, and why we couldn't, the barriers to entry is the license, then it's finding a site, and a site that is zoned. Then we don't own our properties, so then it's finding a developer or landlord. And then, obviously, the final thing for us is to have psychiatrists that will service the hospital. That's probably our biggest barrier in South Africa, because when we talk to medical schemes, then they show us graphs showing that that's the only time that psychiatry is important, because on the graph where the highest growing spend on the expenditure. So the demand and the need for psychiatric services are escalating. I mean, we all know that. But the limiting factor in South Africa is we have all these barriers to entry, but is psychiatrists. So, but if we can come up with a facility that's center of excellence, like you said, that attracts people. And I do know that half of Pretoria, and especially Pretoria, wants to move down to Cape Town. So I think we will have to start looking for psychiatrists. But this is the ideal situation.
The ratio is 1 to 2.
The people more sick, yeah. Yeah. So I think that is going to be our next challenge. But you have to get these things in order. And what we have as a psychiatric hospital, this is the ideal situation for us. The next step would be, if this comes off the ground successfully, the next step would be to get the psychiatrists. And obviously, we're in touch with most of the psychiatrists in South Africa. And that's our next step. So, but thank you for being here. Karen phoned me this morning at 7:30 and asked me, where's my presentation? I said I don't have one. I thought I was just a guest. But yeah, thank you. Thanks for inviting me, and we're very excited to see where this goes. Thank you very much.
And then just as I go down the list, I also want to welcome the guys from Pathcare, Fransha and his team, and then Wijnlanden's Radiology, who's our radiology partner. Then a special word of thanks just to Dr. Sadiq Karim from the hospital and from us. Thank you for making the time again and being here. And then with no further ado, I want to introduce you to Henry van der Merwe. Now, Henry du Plessis is director at Burgerman Architects, and also the head of the healthcare division nationally, internationally, I think. Now, Henry, thank you so much.
Still not? Nothing. There we go. Okay, thank you all. My name is Henry du Plessis. I'm an architect. For some reason, decided to specialize in healthcare design. Been doing this for about 16 years. Part of a company called Burgerman Partners. We are the largest architectural firm in Africa, top 100 in the world. So we kind of like doing what we do, and we like to deliver good buildings. And been fortunate enough to be contacted by Dion and his license holders, Bumani and them, and to start designing a facility that's got, in my opinion, a lot of potential. So I'm going to run through a couple of slides. I'm not going to repeat what's been said tonight already, but effectively I'm representing a team of professionals, engineers, project managers, development managers, and through teamwork we kind of churn through all the various problems that or challenges that every site delivers. But this one has got a unique opportunity which I feel is very coherent with the vision that Dion and his team have. I think we all understand the locality, the N2 being quite close by, which generates quite a lot of opportunity in terms of emergency cases that's going to be delivered here. If you look at the demographics around it, I think there's a lot of high underserviced portion of the Western Cape that can benefit out of a facility in this area. So the address, you'll obviously all understand. Sanbury Shopping Centre is located on this, and then we've got a portion of land, quite linear, situated on the corner of Baden-Powell, and then the road that is extending around it. But we've got an opportunity to have a quite prominent site in terms of traffic and visibility, also locality from the N2. It's a linear site, like I said, so which gives opportunity of kind of dividing it quite neatly into the pockets. What we are envisioning at this stage is obviously, as was explained, the Life Path facility. We're also looking at a rehabilitation with doctors consulting, and then we've got the 124-bed acute facility. I'm going to run through the slides quite quickly. And then if there are any questions afterwards, we can revert back and I'll zoom into specifics. As the presentation is done landscape, so a lot of it is kind of small scale, but we can always revert back any questions that you guys have. Moving ahead, you can see, okay, orientation-wise, we're looking at a east-west orientation, well, semi-east-west in terms of Baden-Powell, and then the shopping centre extension that we're anticipating. We're not 100% sure exactly what's going to happen there, but you can see that dark grey block on the side there is what we anticipate. The hospital then being linear in an H shape, which obviously all of you understand the efficiencies required in a healthcare facility in terms of distances of patients, nurses, doctors to get to various of the departments. So the H shape, and then directly adjacent to that on the left-hand side, we've got the gym with a rehabilitation facility, and then on the corner we've got Life Path. That facility we also envisaged having a possibility of a day hospital on top. We are in the process of finalizing the details around that. So on the top left there, you can see first floor. Apologies, let me just take you through ground floor first. I'll zoom into this later, but on ground floor, the blue block that you're seeing there, that is our emergency department. Orange below that is our radiology department, so quite good access for walk-in cases, ambulance access. And as you all understand, hospitals, ground floor space is very valuable real estate in terms of deliveries, collections, waste removal, all these kind of things. So on the right-hand side, we've got our kitchen deliveries, laundry removals, and the green block is pharmacy. I'll zoom into this now and we can have a conversation about the flows around this. Moving on to the next slide, you'll see first floor. So first floor, on the top left image, you'll see Life Path on the left corner. That first floor, we're looking at possibility of the day hospital in there. So that will be, if all goes according to plan, 3 theatre and 24 beds, 1 procedure room. Then the blue block in the center of the two, that'll be consulting suites, and you'll see there's a link bridge linking directly into the hospital. On first floor, we have consulting suites, we've got pediatric, we've got medical, and we've got the day beds, which is currently part of the acute license. On the bottom left image is the top level, second floor. So we've got a height restriction on this building of 11 meters. So we've got to kind of squeeze all of this to make sure that we get 3 levels within this. Top floor being theatre level has got some constraints in terms of theatre heights, headroom requirements, HVAC that needs to be accommodated within ceiling voids. So we're trying to cut that building absolute to the limit. We are in conversations with town planners to see if we can relax that and possibly have a future proofing of an additional floor on top. Obviously, those processes need to be triggered as we go ahead. But for now, we are looking to get a site development plan approved as quick as we can to start the developments. Those additional applications will happen as we go along. On that top floor, which is second floor, we've got the theatre complex in that peach colour. Just below that in the green, we've got our critical care, which is a high care ICU. Top right will be your ICU. And then below that, we've got our maternity functions, our labour, NNICU, and maternity. So that clearly is that we are aiming to create a rhythm. As you're driving past it on Baden-Powell, you get this rhythm as you're passing through this facility. It's quite prominent. We're giving it a quite big presence towards the traffic to illustrate kind of the prominence of this building within the vicinity. Got a section there at the bottom right to just indicate the different levels. You can see we've got a central core, which will remain our vertical circulation up and down. We've got 3 lifts, one connecting directly from our emergency department straight up into our theatre complex, which we feel in a situation whereby you're so close to the N2 and a lot of casualty cases that are going to be delivered via ambulance. We want that communication time to theatre from your resus as short as possible. I'm just going to take you through a couple of these are the kind of look and feel images that we want to introduce to this. Very naturally bound, good face brick with some patterns in the face brick that we are bringing in. Some sun angles due to the fact that we are not 100% east-west or north-south. We are kind of sitting at an angle. So we are introducing some angular facets to the facades to kind of harness as much of the views as well as a lot of the northern sun that we prefer in South Africa. Just looking at some of the internal, which I think will inspire a couple of you, is we are looking at a different concept of how we want to address consulting suites. We are looking at a format whereby we've got shared waiting, possibly shared administrations, shared reception desks, and then from there on you lead off into the different specialities. So we're going to look at some options whereby we can group together to get more efficiencies out of these spaces. The conventional 200, 300 square consulting suites of specialists to try and break that down to a more efficient, more patient-friendly environment as to navigate through that. The next slide on the left, they kind of explain something like that, whereby you've got shared spaces that can then service the individual doctors as they are. On the right, some images of some of the work that I've done previously, whereby we've successfully recreated this setup. So this is an artistic render that we've done. Some of the perspectives, looking at this from the main circle as you enter, you can see the link bridge there from the main acute facility to the left, where we anticipate gym and rehabilitation facilities on ground floor and doctor's consult on the levels above. You can see ample of parking and quite free-flowing, neat elevations that we're trying to achieve. On the right-hand side, you can see the brickwork, the play that we are looking with a face brick, which we still feel is a low-maintenance item. It's contemporary at this stage, and it really fits well within the vernacular. On the left-hand side, you can see the angled windows to kind of create privacy, still giving a lot of visibility to the patients and the users of the spaces inside. And that is my presentation. So obviously, during this process, we're going to require all the participants' involvement in this. We will reduce and deduct all your needs into a functional building. We are tasked by Dion and his team to kind of find the balance between the aesthetics, the workability, and the cost of this building. So we need to balance all those items to achieve what we are looking to do. What I see the benefits of currently what we're proposing, there's a lot of potential to grow. So I see this hospital growing to 150, 170 quite easily. If you look at the facility, the next door, on the left-hand side there, that could easily turn into wards in a couple of years' time. If the occupancy is increased towards that, we can easily increase this facility. With 5 theatres, I think there's ample of growth. Theatre complex will also allow for additional growth spaces. We'll make sure that we can grow in the next 10, 20 years. As we all understand, these buildings quite last well over any one of our lifetimes. It's a 50, 60-year investment. So with that in mind, I really do encourage you all to participate, to look into involving in this design. We've got an opportunity to create something very unique, and with the universal health cover and the vision of the Western Cape, I think there's an opportunity here to really do something positive. We, and Walter and our professional team, will really give all our efforts to try and result in a positive building. That's all from my side. I'm not sure if there are any questions. I don't know, Dion, do you want to do it now or after the presentation? All right. Any specifics? Anyone looking to? Right. I'm happy. I'm sure it'll come later. Thank you very much. It's a good question, and I'm going to put this on Walter.
Yes, sorry, I just wanted to find out if there's a space for a future helipad, and or is this area a no-fly zone from the airport people?
I think it's a very valid question, and there are a lot of studies to be done before we can do that. But I think if we understand correctly, this will be a trauma 3. What level casualty are we looking at? 2. Okay, so there'll be a heli stop, not a helipad. So there's a difference in how we calculate and work that out. But as far as I understand, most of the trafficable highways do allow, obviously, noise pollution and air traffic to revolve on that. As our proximity to the airport's quite close, I think it would require special investigation, but I don't think it's impossible. I really do think with us sitting so closely on N2 highway with that coverage, it might be a Western Cape priority to resolve at kind of looking at this leniently. But we do understand that there are a lot of accidents on this road, and a lot of them cannot get here in time through ambulances, so it's well worth looking into that.
I think what is well worth understanding is that the shopping centre that's next door, there's actually a huge amount of ample open space towards the right of that shopping centre, even after the extension. If need be, one could look at having a space there and then obviously just a transfer into the facility. But we haven't done that stuff. Is that correct? Yeah.
All right, so this is, sorry, still mine, but we could even, if you look at that portion of land, we've got 2 big circles that can be harnessed for helipad landing, and then as well as the possibility, we've got, if you look towards the northeast of where the hospital is situated, there's a big parking lot. Some of those bays can be allocated to be kept clear in those emergencies. The other portion of land at the bottom left on that intersection, we are investigations as to looking if we could come to an agreement of usage of that land. So there could be something in that instance. Okay. Is that good? Your laptop up?
So just the interesting story whilst we wait. You spoke about when COVID started. So basically, Henry, Walter, and I met each other, and we went to the Seychelles together. 7 days before we were locked down, we just got back in time to go and look at a hospital development up there. I actually went through that file the other day, and I thought to myself, I know Walter's still close to the guys. We must actually revisit that. It's a beautiful place. But that's where we met, and it's interesting. Moet ek 'n grappie vertel? Okay. So this is going to be difficult for me because I'm not going to go with my glasses back and forth to my computer. So I'm going to actually move a little bit around so that I can see on the big screen and then talk from this angle if okay. So this part of the presentation is dedicated to the accountants. You'll see a lot of numbers in here, and therefore I need to be close to the screen so I can actually see what I'm talking about. But it has to do with the portion of the evening where we are presenting an opportunity for the doctors to be part of this journey. We believe strongly that we want to create a facility by doctors for doctors and by doctors for patients. And as a result of that, it is, apart from the other reasons, it's a very big part of our strategy to present an opportunity for doctors to come alongside us, invest in the facility, and not just invest, but also work in it and create a future pension through that. I mean, we all know that selling time is never going to make you exceptionally rich. Mani alluded to the fact that you need to also earn dividends. But then there's also the need for capital growth and capital appreciation. And this provides you an opportunity to take money that you would have generally in other instances have given to Sanlam, but now you put it into this hospital and you can actually make sure that your contribution to the work that you put in there actually grows your own investment. So I'm just going to see where I can see the best. Karen, next one, please. So I just want to talk a little bit in general about this journey. Mani alluded to the fact that this license was initially a 50-bed license. It was issued in 2013. There are some people in the room here that was instrumental in getting that license in the early days. And we realized that the facility viability on a 50-bed doesn't make sense. And as a result, what we did is we did approach the Department of Health, and they said to us, listen, you can apply for beds, but you need to make sure that you understand the clinical need for what you're applying for. So we engaged a clinical study, and we approached a number of the doctors that are in the room to provide us detailed clinical data in terms of what they see in their practices, how big their practices are, what type of patients they see, what the epidemiology in those patient loads are. And we found actually something quite interesting in this area, that pediatric pulmonology has got a big need in this area. And it turned out that it's got to do with the swampy water area. And it actually makes quite interesting reading when you look at the studies around that. And based on that clinical need, we're then motivated to move away from 50 beds, which were initially mostly surgical, to include the pediatric services, the medical services, and then also the other high care services and the ICU. I think if we look at the growth in this area and we look at the expansion and the possibility that we're going to see quite an influx, further influx of younger couples moving into here, maternity is the other one that actually reared its head, and not just because of the people in the area, the expansion of the housing in the area, but if you also consider that this area includes quite big areas that include portions of Khayelitsha and Makassar and all these type of things, there's a very interesting clinical need amongst the LSM distribution in this area. So again, just coming back to the catchment demographics, in the last couple of years, we saw quite a huge expansion in this area with about 2,000 households being added. And on a later slide, you'll actually see the detail of these extra 2,500 households that will be added in the next 2 to 3 years. We actually have done a study to understand exactly what the suburbs are, how big they are, how many houses, how many stands, how many development units, etc. So it is definitely an expansion node of the Western Cape. This and the area there towards Visantekrol, I think, are the two areas where it makes sense to look at expansion in terms of healthcare services. Then, obviously, we want to grow the facility for future demand, which I've just alluded to, the growth in the area. Then, I think the big thing that I want to speak about, just stand still a little bit, and I know Kurt and I have had many debates on this, but the medical aids, and I think you also alluded to Dr. Karim, in terms of the universal healthcare coverage, but if you attended the recent healthcare conferences, you would see that the medical aids, and you don't have to attend a conference to know it, but the medical aids are definitely moving away and shying away from a fee-for-service model to a more alternative reimbursement methods, which includes your global fees and your fixed fees. And what we have realized in terms of this vision about putting this precinct together is that if you want to be in a situation where you create an opportunity for doctors and other people to work together, bring them together into an area where all the services are, but also bring the other providers into the fold, the likes of your diagnostic services, your laboratories, your radiology, your ancillary healthcare services like physiotherapy, occupational therapy, and all these others, bring them into the fray of things so that when you have to go and start developing global fees, everybody's got a vested interest in actually partaking into that. Whether it's just the hospital or whether it's all the other service providers, whether we do a fixed fee arrangement as the hospital or whether we do global fees, I think it's important that we create an environment where people are actually willing to look at it favorably, to start developing different products. And one of the other things that we have to look at then, in order to get there, is to make sure that we are strategically ready. And that doesn't just allude or refer to the facility which I've just spoken about, the precinct, but it's also about data and collecting data. And you've spoken about the huge amounts of data that we've got. You got, we will have soon. But if you look at the medical aids, they sit with huge amounts of data. I mean, I can't even understand the word that they used at the HASA conference, quintillion or something, 4 or 5 quintillion data sets. I don't know if it's bits or bytes or whatever the case may be, but it sounded a tremendous amount of data. And if we want to, as a private healthcare institution and private healthcare providers, working in conjunction with the state, want to develop product that we can put out there and product that we can put out there to benefit not just our patients, but also make our facility sustainable, we have to be in a position where we actually have access to that data, because there's no ways you're going to sit with Discovery with all that data and you're going to refute them if you've only got 20 patient files and rock up there in a meeting with 2 blue files. It's not going to work. So that's strategically where we want to go with this. As part of our very core strategy would be also obviously to look into the data management. Let's get into a bit of detail, Karen, if I may. Just quickly, Dr. Mani alluded to the promoters. The 4 doctors and then Dynoc Investments, represented by Arno here, are the owners of the land. And then on the operating side, Dr. Mani, myself, and Jacques du Plessis are the promoters. Next one. We've welcomed the architect and the QS and the project manager. Again, just on the OPCO side, who we are, what we do. Thanks, Karen. Thanks again. Sorry for the old logo, Henry. Okay, so the project objectives that we've got here is to expand the market reach. Obviously, we need to look at the revenue growth of the business, and we need to build a brand and a specific way of doing things. So just on the market reach, as I said, we expanded the license, but we are yet to serve the community with various incorporated services. The medical center will include, amongst others, not just the rehab center, but we've got 12 renal beds in our license, so there will be a renal center in there. We're looking future oncology, and then a wellness center, and then obviously other further consulting rooms, which are not just open to specialists, but maybe to other disciplines in medicine. Grow the revenue, that's an objective from the initial 256 million in the first year to just about 500 million, and then build a recognizable brand. Next one. Just some core strategic foundations of the business. Community impact, disease profile and clinical focus. As I've said, we want to understand what we do, why we do it, and who we're doing it for. I think ESG and sustainability is a big thing. It's important. Specifically, if you look at the strategic, what do you call it, the UN Strategic Development Goals for Good Health, we want to aspire to be a facility that actually can be measured against that. Risk management, and then a big one, doctor-led ownership and governance. As a previous speaker alluded to, I think Dr. Mani, some of his colleagues set up a hospital in Joburg. It is doctor-owned and doctor-managed to a certain extent, and there's a lot of positive things to say about that management in terms of how it empowers doctors in being able to shape their own futures. Next one. Just quickly, I spoke about the demand model. I just want to show that our business plan did consider proper studies. We had urban studies and a company with the name of Samaritan and a few others that did proper demographic studies. I know Dr. Mani mentioned a huge need earlier on, and I fully agree with him. But the insured need, in terms of the insured population at 19.6%, conclusively says to us that we can build a hospital of 161 beds at this stage. Then there's the growth which we haven't yet accounted for in this area. We did a SWOT analysis, looked at the strengths, the weaknesses, that's fine. The weaknesses, opportunities and threats. I don't want to go through that in too much details. I think, sorry, just one back. On the opportunities, diverse demographics. And what I want to say about this is this area, when we did the research, is not predominantly a discovery area. It's predominantly a GEMS med scheme area. It's a different demographic, different LSM, different patient, different way of approaching it. And that ties into the working relationship with the Department of Health, because we are not here, well, the patients aren't here. The patients that are here are the patients that fall in that demographic sector. And I think that makes this project not just a viable project in the sense that you're servicing a community that is 19.6+% insured medically, but it's also a population that is actually underserviced in various other sectors. I mean, it's very difficult, I think, and very rare that you would necessarily find a patient getting in Khayelitsha in a taxi and going to Stellenbosch for an operation. So this is closer to home, it works, and it brings the service to the people. Just quickly on the beds, we all know that it's 124 beds, but if you just look at it, medical 34, surgical 30, peds 15, maternity 16, neonates 2. We will increase that at some stage. We have to obviously go through the application process and submit it as we've heard. And then there's high care beds and ICU. We did a initial needs, not a needs analysis, but looked at the best and possible the specialist mix that we need to cover this hospital. P1 means the minimum guys that we need and specialities that we need to effectively run the hospital in the very initial phases, and P2 really says these are the guys we want to bring in the next six months. But effectively, if you've got the P1 guys on board and you've got these disciplines, you can run the hospital. Obviously, very low. What we need to keep in mind is that you need between 4 to 6 specialists to service a hospital, 4 to 6 per bed. And that 34 brings us to, I think, just about 4.5, 4-ish. And that's sort of the level where we want to be, and it provides that opportunity for specialists in these specialities to come alongside us. What I have to say in this is that the day hospital that we're planning on the premises, obviously I've got other specialities like ophthalmology, which we're not necessarily mentioning here, which creates a great opportunity for the doctors in those specialities to come alongside us. But this is roughly what we believe would be a good starting point. What we have seen in some of the other hospitals that we're involved in is that it is actually becoming so, the margins are becoming quite thin as a result of the cost increases, that the only way you can really grow your revenue, grow your hospital, is with the increased revenue top line. So we have to make sure that we accommodate further people to come in, and I think that also then creates an opportunity for sessional doctors to come in and come alongside the more permanent doctors, the FTE ones. Next one, please. Just quickly on the ownership, it's not cast in stone. As you can see, it's 61% doctor owned. That's the idea. So by doctors, for doctors, we've assumed that there would be a split between GPs and specialists, because generally in the other facilities that we have put this together, we see that the behavioral patterns between GPs and specialists are different. It's not cast in stone. This is going to finalize itself effectively in terms of discussions that we have with this doctor body, other investors, and further doctors that are that will come alongside us as we progress. Next one. Maritza, this is for you. That's the legal construct. We'll get to that. Thank you. Just timelines. We open this facility, and I'm not saying we're aiming to open, I'm saying we're opening this facility in 2028, and I'm looking forward to this journey to get this done, and bringing you alongside us to get this done and to fruition. Henry and Walter will work very hard in number 1, 2, and 3, and we will start working thereafter. Thank you. Okay, just some numbers. Currently, and this is not based on this design, but it's still the same parameters in terms of size. Our QSs have costed the total build, including land, at 394 million rand, which brings us to, Walter, how much? 3.1 a bed, eh? Which in today's market is still very competitive. I think if you look at what some other facilities have been costed at in recent times, you can see that we are very conscious of cost, because the capital cost, carrying the capital cost from not just an interest perspective, but from a repayment perspective, places a lot of strain on the facility in the first couple of years. And we obviously are very conscious to keep that to the bare minimum, but also deliver a quality product. Next one. Just on the operating company, we anticipate that our equipment will be in the region of 90 odd million. And there's working capital requirements. Those are the main elements of it. We have had this equipment costed through a equipment supplier, so we know that this number is quite close to where it will end up. So it's not a cheap facility, but it's by no means overly expensive. Next one. Just quickly on the numbers, some assumptions. We started at an average, looking at our revenue, and an average occupancy of 44% for the full first year, and that goes up to 74% at the end of 5 years, which is very realistic and very conservative in a way. So when we look at the top line numbers in terms of our revenue, it's based on this occupancy level, and we feel that this occupancy level is achievable. Thank you. Again, just some of the key metrics. In this facility, we've got total available bed days of 45,000, and then based on those occupancies of 44 to 75, 74, we sell about 19,000 patient days in the first year. Thank you. Turnover per patient day is a good metric. I think it's important to just have a look at this as a sense check when you look at your financial model. At 9,300 Rand per patient day in 2028, it's quite conservative. It obviously is not a super specialized surgical hospital. Surgical hospitals have a higher rate per patient day due to the nature of the services. Obviously, this includes quite a big component of medical and maternity, so that drives that revenue per patient day down a bit. But very realistic in the ballpark, the numbers that it effectively drives within the model will stand up to scrutiny when audited by people that know the industry well. Thank you. Okay, so just quickly, high-level numbers, 256 through to about 500 million in 5 years. You can look at the split between accommodation, theatre, pharmacy, the ratios in there, just for the people that know these numbers, they all stack up with industry standards and industry norms, so I'm confident that the numbers do make sense. Next one. Next one. A loss in the first year of 27 million, hence the working capital, and that then rectifies it as it goes through that J-curve as the business grows, and effectively it does grow to a EBITDA percentage of about 19%, which again is also quite conservative in this industry and in this market. Thank you. Balance sheet for those that like numbers. Next one. Just valuation returns. I think this is important. If you were to invest in this hospital, what does it mean in terms of the future? So again, this is just based on the numbers that we've ran and the valuation model in that. So effectively, the enterprise value of the facility based on a 15-year forecast is 650 million. So in essence, we're going to be paying for a facility in here, which is 144 million, which is the cost of the operating company. But in essence, with the income that it's going to generate over that period, it's going to rate, when you return that to a present value, it's actually an investment of or an asset of about 600 million. That's an internal rate of return of 28%. We're trying to achieve 25%. That just means that your money will grow by that percentage on a continual basis, and that's the effective growth compounder that you will get. And then the dividend distribution, we've worked on a 50% dividend distribution. And again, this presentation we can send to everybody electronically. So I'm running through this quickly. You can study with the numbers in detail, take it to your accountants, interrogate it, phone me, and we will go through it. But effectively, in this model, you start earning a small dividend in year 2, which I think is maybe going to be coming under a bit of pressure. I just know it from other facilities. Year 2, you don't see dividends yet. And then it grows a little bit, and you can see the compound growth there, that cumulatively in year 10, you would have basically earned your initial investment 5 times, which I think is quite conservative. And again, this is only based on a 50% distribution. So if you distribute 70%, that 5 times becomes 6-7 times. Okay. And then effectively, in terms of the the value, as I said, the valuation there is based on a return expectation, I think, of 12.5%, which is what drives that. So we'll get to the questions now if there are. I want to get to the next slide, if you don't mind, Karen. So, as I said, we are offering shareholding investment in the facility to the doctors and specialists and non-doctors and specialists. There is an option available, which is for non-medical people, and I speak about organizations and or businesses that are in the field but are not necessarily doctors. I don't want to elaborate on who they might be, but any person that's an investor in the industry that looks at this and understands it and wants to participate in it is welcome as well, but I'm not talking about that this evening. So in the operating company, effectively the price per share is 8,583 Rand, and then we've got 4 share classes, and they're all the same value. They just effectively are for different types of investors. The A class is the 51% that I spoke of for specialists. The B class is for non-medical, which I alluded to, then GPs, and then the D class are for promoters of the project. And effectively, on the right-hand side, I've just got to illustrate the investment value. Effectively, that percentage on the left equates to the percentage that you would directly, well, indirectly hold in the hospital, and the value that that would cost you if you were to subscribe for that share at this stage. And then the large stake investments for the guys that want to participate maybe on the B class side of it. Again, B class is the wrong word. It's a wrong accounting term. It's just a classification. So just ignore the fact that I call it a class. That just gives you an idea of what that investment value would be. Next one. So it really just does very much the same thing. So if you do look at the right-hand the table that I've got there, effectively when we give you the expression of interest, you'll see that table there, and you would say, okay, I want to invest 3%, and you will say, I want 3% and make a 1 there, and that's the amount, and then we know, okay, we need to consider you for subscription for that percentage of shares in the facility. So that's just an illustration of how the expression of interest works. The property company, the equity value is 121 million. Again, what we're trying to do on the property, we want to make a portion of this property available to doctors. And again, it's an expensive investment, so we are looking to have a big percentage, in any case north of 50%, for an anchor developer. Now, we've had discussions with various anchor developers, and then also with Investec. And effectively, if we get a development company that says, listen, we want to own 80% of the building because it doesn't make sense to own less because we don't get the return we want, and that is something that we collectively think is the right thing to do, then the other percentages for the other participants will just drop. But in essence, and what we're trying to achieve here, as we said, let's make available, I think it's 18% to doctors, and that amount is what, I can't see there, 21 million, eh? Can't remember. Just go one slide down. No, other way? Yeah, that way. 21 million for 18%. And effectively that then, again, on the same basis, you can select the quantum that you would potentially want to invest in the property company. The investment works through in the operating company works through an SPV, a company. You invest in a company, and that company holds that transfer or that shareholding. But in the property company, it's a direct investment. Also different in the sense that this is a property investment or a share investment in a property entity, and obviously you can trade that freely as you want to sell it, but on the basis that the shareholders agreement allows you to offer it to the other shareholders first, and then if they don't exercise their preemptives, you can sell it to somebody else. So that's really just the investment portion of what we want to put forward. I don't want to bore you with more of it. We want to take you along on the journey with us. If there's any questions, let's take them now. And then obviously afterwards, we're also available to unpack some of these numbers and the process if interested. But really in essence, Karen, you would just make sure everybody gets an expression of interest document. In that document, we ask you a few questions, but if you're interested in investing and coming alongside this journey with us, then please fill that in, give it to Karen. The only thing that I want to say is that in there, our request is that if you subscribe, 10% of your subscription is payable into the company bank account. That's part of the risk pool money to help us pay the legal fees, and the auditors and all the other costs that need to be borne to get the company to a point where we can actually all be shareholders. And then the balance of it goes into a trust account. It remains in the trust account with certain parameters in the project are met. If it's not met, it's safe, it returns to you. If the project never goes ahead, you don't lose it. So you actually are safeguarded in the way that we put the legal process together. So thank you so much. Any questions?
Again, thank you everyone for coming. I think, yes, lots to think about. It's generally a good project that I think you can invest in your own business and you can determine where it goes to. Yes, lots more to talk about. And yes, if you go out, inspire some colleagues to really join up with us. As Dion said, to really make the project good viable, we need around about 20, 30 guys to start really with the project. That will be suitable so that we don't have too much pressure on each other. But yes, if you feel that you need more questions and so, feel free to contact Dion, myself as well. The whole presentation is on YouTube, so from Karen you can just get the link and link onto it and then look at it again and make some decisions. On the other hand, Karen will contact you back for some feedback as well. So yes, there's still some drinks and some eats. Help yourself and mingle, and I hope you enjoyed the evening and got some good info. If you want anything else, Karen is available to help you with that. Thanks again.